Item 10, authorization for immunization services procurement. Let me ask staff if they have any comments they would like to make on this item. If not, we'll go to public speakers.
Supervisor, members of the board, this item is pretty straightforward. We're moving over to the state system, looking at this very carefully, and would make that recommendation.
Perfect. Let's go to our public speakers on the item.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. We have 8 requests to speak on this item, 6 in person, 2 by phone. I will identify the individuals that requested to speak in person. I'll call all of you at this time. If your name is called, please come to the podium. Amy Reichert, Audra Morgan, Eli Komai, Kristen Vent, Sandra Martinez, and Alessio Williams. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board, and I'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record.
Hello, Audra Morgan. I guess the problem is that we're not really looking into these immunizations that we're trying to give out, and you're using all of these funds to continue these immunizations. And you know, you saw all the people here today and their feelings about these things, and your job is to listen to us and take that into consideration. And I appreciate the fact that you will look into the adverse reactions and stuff like that with these vaccines. But understand the reason why we're coming to you is because we've done our own due diligence with that and figured out what's going on. I mean, they use aborted fetal cells. There's toxins in these things, and the fact is that they don't prevent disease. I mean, you have to get an immunization for the flu every year. I mean, and then it changes, and it's like we forget about our immune systems that we were given to, one of them that learns about the virus or whatever it is that infects us, and one that attacks it right away. And, you know, you just passed with item number 7, Abbott Labs, this antibody test. And so what are you going to use that for? Are you going to use it so that people who have antibodies for different things, that they don't have to get vaccines? And, you know, you can put out an ordinance, an urgency ordinance, and I implore you to look into these vaccines and really, like, take in all the information, not just one that fits your narrative, Dr. Wooten. Like, you're a doctor, and it's so important that you want to save lives, and we're talking about Live Well San Diego, but these are causing deaths in massive numbers, and that's super important to look at if you're deciding things for this county. And so I just urge you to take all that in, and if you find that these vaccines are doing what we're all telling you, please put out an ordinance, and please do that for the people, because that would be protecting them if you said stop these vaccines. I'm only an anti-vaxxer because I know about them.
Thank you. Your time is up. Next speaker, please. For those 2 individuals that requested to speak by phone, if you could please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you.
All right, everybody. I'm just here again to speak. This is Eli Komai. I'm a city resident, and when I say city, I mean city of San Diego. Thanks for hanging tough and sticking in there. This is probably, I've never been here this late, although I'm sure you have been here this late a couple of times before. I'm here to really just say that this vaccine shouldn't even be labeled or called as such, and we've already gone over why. This is an experimental injection, and I'll be damned if this ever becomes mandatory. This is the land of freedom. This should be the land, the one place on earth where we should be at least be allowed to choose. And the fact that people who choose not to get vaccinated are now being vilified, this is terrifying, especially since the data does not back up any of this. You can use your own selective data, you can use your own bought and paid for studies. I'm just gonna mention, once again, I am happy that people who are not bought and paid for are up here on the council still. It is a minority. I'm glad it's not a super minority. Who knows, that may change. I'm just very sad that there are bought and paid for people like Nathan Fletcher. Somebody mentioned earlier today who your campaign contributors were, who were part of Big Pharma, part and parcel. You are part and parcel to this crime that Big Pharma is attempting to pull over on humanity, and you're allowing that to happen. You're doing their bidding. And I'm sorry, that happens to be where you happen to stand. That's where the cards fell. That's the side you're on. I would just say it takes a lot of courage to break those chains and to go against the people who have paid to put you in that office, to have contributed to your campaign. It's difficult, but it's necessary. And I applaud the staff for listening. I applaud the staff for their attentiveness, especially as this meeting drags on and into the late hours of the night. And as the curtains are drawn, we forget it's dark out there, or at least it's getting dark. Thank you for listening. Have a great rest of your night.
Final call for Amy Reichert, Kristen Vent, Sandra Martinez, Valencia Williams. Seeing no movement in the chamber, Chair Fletcher, that concludes public comment on this item.
All right, happy to make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion by myself, seconded by Supervisor Desmond. Not seeing any requests to speak from my colleagues, I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Supervisor Anderson.
No.
Supervisor Lawson-Remer.
Aye.
Supervisor Desmond.
Aye.
Vice Chair Vargas.
Vargas, aye.
Chair Fletcher.
Fletcher, aye.
That motion passes with Supervisor Anderson voting no, all other supervisors being present and voting aye.
We're going to move to agenda item 11, authorization for procurement of droplet digital PCR system for rapid test of beach water samples, and authorization to pursue future funding opportunities related to beach water monitoring. Let me ask quickly if our Health and Human Services staff have any comments they'd like to make on this.
Chair, we love keeping our beaches open and safe, and this will be a very expedient way of doing that testing. You did it great in what you just stated. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we go to our public speakers, I just want to say this is a really positive step forward in our efforts around water quality. I think one of the earliest meetings I had here as a supervisor was around this issue and focused on us getting the technology in place to be able to do rapid tests. And as a county, we're really poised to be at the cutting edge of any California county in moving forward with this. And I appreciate all the work that has been done to get us to this point. I think this is a really good step forward, and I'm pleased to see it brought forward and pleased to support it. So happy to make a motion to approve. With that, let's hear from our public speakers in this item, and then we'll come back.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. We have one request to speak in opposition to this item. I'd like to invite forward Audra Morgan. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board.
Hello again, Audra Morgan. So the PCR test, hasn't that been recalled? No, it hasn't been recalled. There's not a first class action recall on the PCR test, and we're going to use it to test beach water that you know already has fecal matter in it. And so if it's a genetic test, I don't understand what you're testing for. Are you going to close the beaches if you find too much feces? I mean, it just seems like we're just going around in circles with all these things that don't make any sense. Because, I mean, the PCR test has been recalled, Wilma, and if you don't know that, that's a problem, because what you're doing is using it to show that the cases have risen in the county. And if you really knew why they would have risen, that the vaccines are actually shedding, and that the reason for the uptick in numbers in hospitalizations, even with non-vaccinated, is because these vaccines are transmitting. Did you know that? Did you know they have a patent for that? Did you know that they can vaccinate with even mosquitoes? They have a patent for that too. Bill Gates is all about that. So, you know, we continue to use these things that have been recalled to, you know, just get things pushed and you know, do things that are totally irrelevant to the beach water. I mean, PCR test is a genetic test. So what kind of genetics are you trying to get from the beach? I mean, it's ridiculous. And so much money is being spent on these things. I mean, and it's the money that the people are putting in. I mean, it's our tax dollars, and you're just wasting them. And so it's just sad that you don't even know that test has been recalled, so you probably wouldn't know that all of those tests that you've been doing are totally fraudulent. I mean, it's ridiculous.
That concludes public testimony in this item, Chair Fletcher.
Great. Thank you. Supervisor Desmond.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
I will note, this is also a single source procurement, but I understand that this company, Biorad, is the only one that provides this type of equipment, but I'm sure staff will make sure they're thoroughly vetted as well. But I just want to say this is an exciting step for San Diego County and for our beach communities from the South Bay all the way to North County. It's a very rapid test now for testing beach water samples, particularly after it rains and things like that. People want to get back on the water. A few years ago, the testing wait time was 72 to 96 hours. Currently, it takes about 18 to 24 hours. Now, with this new equipment, it'll just take a few hours to get the results, and hopefully there'll be good results and get people back into the water. So I want to thank our staff, public health team, the Department of Environmental Health team, also for making San Diego County water quality testing some of the most fastest and reliable in the nation. So thank you very much.
All right, Vice Chair Vargas.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. I wanted to thank the staff for the extensive work that our Public Health Department and Department of Environmental Health and Quality have done to get us to this point. When I declared that the Juana River Valley a public health crisis, is exactly the kind of actions that we wanted to see move forward. So I wanted to say thank you to them. And San Diego County will be the first, as has been mentioned, first coastal community in the county to provide beach users with the same day water quality results when this new rapid test is implemented. So the need for same-day results is very important, especially for our frontline communities that are exposed to contaminated waters almost on a daily basis. So this collaboration with local, state, and federal agencies is going to benefit our health, the health of our residents and visitors of San Diego County. And so with that, I'd like to second that motion.
Thank you, Vice Chair Vargas, and thank you for all your work on these issues. We know how important it is and appreciate all the work you've done to really lead on this. With that, we have a motion by myself, second by Vice Chair Vargas, to approve the recommendations in Agenda Item 11. Ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Thank you. Supervisor Anderson. Aye. Supervisor Lawson-Remer.
Aye.
Supervisor Desmond. Aye. Vice Chair Vargas.
Vargas, aye.
Chair Fletcher.
Fletcher, aye.
That motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
Going to move to Agenda Item 12, approve intergovernmental transfer agreement with California Department of Health Services. Any comments you'd like to make?
Yes, Chair Fletcher, members of the board. This intergovernmental transfer consists of transferring local funds to the California Department of Public Health Services, who adds in state funds and pays our Medicaid plans. The department then secures the federal match from the federal government for medical care expenditures. And basically, in lump sum, the county is able to draw down approximately 2-to-1 match and federal dollars. We've been participating in this, like other counties, for the last 7 years. And the dollars that we bring down go to vital programs. Maternal child health, and supporting programs like Edgemore Hospital.
Thank you. Let's go to our public speaker on this item.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. We have one request to speak in opposition of this item. I'd like to invite forward Audra Morgan. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board.
Hello again, Audra Morgan. So it just seems like we're throwing money back and forth between different agencies, just funneling money, like with the fire department, between the Health and Human Services, and it's just, I don't know, I just feel like you guys spend all this money to do things that we're not approving of, and it's supposed to support health services, but everything that you're doing with these services is totally fraudulent. It's really sad that you're doing this to the people and that you don't care about what they have to say, that you don't care about how they want to spend the money that they're putting in. And so, you know, I mean, we just throw around millions of dollars all the time. And I feel like you guys don't have respect even just for money and like what the people want you to do with it. You know, and then there's not money to spend on other things because you're always just, you know, transferring money here, have a bucket here, 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 here. And it's just, you know, I know you don't even like to listen to me. That's why I come up here so many times, because it's, you know, it's a waste of everybody's time to just do all these things and not listen to the people that come before you and tell you what they want. I mean, isn't that your job? Like, aren't you supposed to listen to what the people want? Instead of doing your own bidding? Instead of listening to the powers that be that tell you what they want, which is not for the people to be free? And it's just sad. It's sad that you guys, you know, act like you just don't really pay attention, and, you know, you spend your time doing other things, and and just throw around money to spend for things for us, and yet that's not what we want. So at some point, I mean, either you have to listen to the people or somebody will be in that place who will. So it's just, yeah, it's sad.
Happy to make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Motion by myself, seconded by Supervisor Anderson. Ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Thank you. Supervisor Anderson.
Aye.
Supervisor Lawson-Remer.
Aye.
Supervisor Desmond.
Aye.
Vice Chair Vargas.
Vargas, aye.
Chair Fletcher.
Fletcher, aye.
That motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
Next item, agenda item 15, enhanced enforcement for illegal marijuana dispensaries, an item brought forward by Supervisor Anderson. We want to go first to Supervisor Anderson on this item, and then we will go to public speaker.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. I had an in-depth conversation with our DA. Is off. Thank you, Chairman Fletcher. I had a wonderful conversation with our DA, and we determined that the existing resources were enough to move forward with this. So I'd like to amend the item by striking the language in recommendation number 2 and the associated fiscal impact on item 15. But we still want to move forward with the receivership language. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy to second that motion. Let's go to any public speakers on this item.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. We have 6 requests to speak, all in favor of this item by phone. Any individuals that requested to speak on this item, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. You will be muted until it is your turn to speak. Again, any individual that requested to speak on item 15, please dial into the conference line now. Also note for the record that we received 2 e-comments on this item, both in favor. And again, all individuals that requested to speak on this item were in favor.
We'll give it a minute to see if anyone dials in. Let's go to Supervisor Desmond.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I just want to commend Supervisor Anderson for bringing this item forward. I understand, though, the receivership is not the first action, which usually is kind of like the last straw. We had, when I was mayor of San Marcos, we had a strip mall owner that continually, we would shut down a marijuana shop, and then they'd come in with another one, and then shut that one down and come in with another one. Finally, we were able to get a judge to agree to put the property into receivership, take it from the landlord, and the receivership collected the rents and charged a fee and gave anything that was left over to the landlord. But this is a case where, unfortunately, the landlords get caught in getting triple rent or things like that from illegal marijuana shops. And so I think this receivership action is very important. Not the first tool, but a tool that can be used down the line. So to commend Supervisor Anderson for putting this forward. And thank you for taking $1.2 million out of it. So
there we go. All right. Our public speakers? All right. Let's hear from them.
Our first speaker is 8296. 8296, please press *6 to unmute. *8296, I can see.
Thank you, Chairman Fletcher.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Chairman Fletcher and Honorable Board. My name is Ren Bowden, and I am a legal cannabis license holder in the unincorporated area of San Diego. I've had the privilege to work directly with the sheriff's licensing and enforcement, and on numerous occasions over the past 6 years working together, they have shared their frustrations with not having the tools that they need to really be able to close down and permanently close down these illegal shops, these illegal, untested, unsafe, so-called dispensaries. I appreciate Supervisor Anderson's leadership to take the initiative to start providing the tools necessary to permanently close down these illegal businesses. Thank you all, supervisors, for your ongoing efforts to provide access to safe, legal, tested cannabis in San Diego. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is 6463. 6463, please press *6 to unmute.
Hello, Chair Fletcher and supervisors. This is Dallin Young with Blue Water Government Affairs. Our firm represents the 5 current license holders and operators in the unincorporated area of the county. First, just want to say thank you, Supervisor Anderson, and all the rest of you supervisors for your continued work on making sure that a legal, safe, and tested and revenue-generating industry, such as the 5 operators right now are currently operating under in the county. Thank you very much for allowing us to continue doing this work. And I appreciate Supervisor Anderson's recommendations here, because we're always looking for unique and consistent ways to shut down illegal operators in the county. As we stated in our letter that we submitted, all the illegal happenings and crime that has taken place in the unincorporated area of the county has all taken place around these illegal operations. So we'd like to put in our support for recommendation number 1 to explore what this receivership might look like. Thank you very much.
And Chair Fletcher, that concludes public comment on this item.
All right, thank you. We have a motion by Supervisor Anderson to adopt recommendation number 1 and agenda item 15, striking recommendation number 2, seconded by myself. Not seeing any requests from my colleagues for additional comments. I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Thank you. Supervisor Anderson.
Aye.
Supervisor Lawson-Remer. Supervisor Lawson-Remer. Supervisor.
Aye.
Thank you. Supervisor Desmond.
Aye.
Vice Chair Vargas.
Vargas, aye.
Chair Fletcher.
Fletcher, aye.
The motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present.